Hey everyone, today we're going to be unboxing, configuring, and evaluating this... Hold on a second. Hey everyone, today we're going to be unboxing, configuring, and evaluating this... What is this? Hey everyone, today I sincerely hope to be able to unbox, configure, and evaluate this DeLonghi Magnifica Evo Automatic Espresso machine. We picked this up for $500, normally $638. Boasting a conical burr grinder with 13 settings, 7 one-touch recipes, automatic hot textured milk, glass accommodations to 5.6 inches, removable and washable brew group major plus, along with a 1/4 kilo bean compartment. Here's my exact model in case you're interested in that sort of thing. The machine is rated at 1.25 kilowatts. I sincerely hope there's not another box in here. Looks like we made it. The flap shows the correct removal of the machine from the box. I pull out this small package wrapped in a bag, lift it out of the box as per instructions. Another cardboard box is removed from the package. I've then pulled the lower tray from the unit. Now removing 2 pieces of blue tape from the machine and 2 pieces from the tray. This is my favorite part. Let's lay out everything on the counter. We'll open up the plastic package and have a look. A measuring spoon for pre-ground coffee, we won't be using this. A water hardness tester. Fancy mysterious envelope, let's have a look inside. Welcome to spending your money at DeLonghi. Says we'll enjoy this for years to come. How long is the warranty? Well, here it is, the legalese warranty. I read it for you. Years to come is 2 years. So here's their full operation manual, and DeLonghi does a really good job with manuals, but they're very big, so they do something smart. They also include a color abbreviated guide because they know that nobody's going to read the manual and everybody's going to get into trouble. I think that's a good idea. We'll get into the cardboard box now. It includes a sample of decalking doses as part of the cleaning regimen. This is a water filter. We don't need it, but we're going to use it in this video. Here are all the parts for the milk frother, unwrapped for a better view. And a separate card telling you how to disassemble the milk frother, so obviously this has been problematic. And that concludes the unboxing of this unit. I'm going to find in the manual, or both manuals, the inventory and verify the contents. Everything is accounted for. I'll go through the manuals, and then we'll continue. Now emptying our work area, I'll add stuff as needed. So we'll now apply power. Audible beeps. Plugging it in gives us a lamp test, some sort of power on self-test. There's an error light as well. We could see up here, that's fine. We haven't touched the power yet. Making our way to the tray, I'll remove the grind holding container. And then we'll remove this stainless grill. Very nice looking stainless grill. And I guess if you had a slightly taller cup you needed to get in there, you could remove this and just place it here on the bottom. That would give you an extra ½ inch or so. This red button here is actually a float that lets you know when the tray is completely filled with water as an alarm to stop and drain it. We'll place this back in now, followed by the stainless grill. Fits in a notch right here. And finally, we'll place a container for the grinds back into position. This small flap above is for pre-ground coffee. I don't know why you would ever use pre-ground coffee on a machine like this, but I'm just pointing it out for reference. Don't put water or beans in there, it says. If you're a civilized individual, you'll be using this section in the back. I'll flip this cover off. This is the hopper where the beans go. The bean grinding adjuster is right over here. We'll be getting into this later. Here on the right-hand side, we could see the water tank, and it slides out forwards like so. Though you do not need to slide the entire tank out to fill it. It rides on a track and can be fully removed if necessary. Behind the tank is the cover for the brew group, and what a major advantage over a Jura, because you could just open this flap, open the brew group to service or clean it. On a Jura, it is not a maintenance item, and you have to tear apart the entire machine to get to that. I don't know why they do that, probably because they charge $1,000 to service a Jura. So in my book, that's a major win, and I would not buy a machine that doesn't have this feature. The spout is telescopic, as I demonstrate now, pulling all the way down. and then pushing all the way back up. This handle's really anemic though. It did arrive with the hot water spout already attached to the machine, and we can see a sensor down here we'll talk about later. It is now time to insert the lower tray into the machine. As the tray is inserted, the tray error light goes out, but then the water alarm turns on. We'll address the water now. This is why we'll be installing the filter for the video but don't actually need it. We use a zero water container that has no minerals in it whatsoever, as we'll test later. For filling purposes, it would be sufficient to pull the container out just this far. We will be installing the filter for this video though, so we'll remove the tank entirely. This blue knob on the top of the filter sets the month of the year. I'm just going to quickly set that now. We'll pull the tank out entirely and place it on the counter. Before installing the filter, we're instructed to pre-fill it with water, so I'll do so now by submerging it in this pitcher. I'll just wait for the bubbles to stop coming up. Now, filled with water, we'll bring it over to the tank, where at this point I'll pre-fill the tank with water. Note the low water float moving up as I fill it, and rest the filter into position. We can see water will travel up through the sides, be filtered, come down the middle, and then out the back of the unit. As the cover is placed back on, fittings on the cover hold the filter straight. We'll top off the container after installing it back into the machine. We need only having it out this far to do so. I'm going to fill it all the way to the max line as indicated on the side. And here's a clear view of that indication. I now push the container all the way in, and when I do so, we can see that the water alarm will go out, and all of the alarms are now cleared. Again, the hot water spout comes pre-installed. We can pull it right out to remove it and snap it back in to install it. Now we'll be getting into priming, flushing, and cleaning the machine for first use. Noticing X2 is blinking, we need to press it to start the priming procedure. It first primes through the hot water spout, after which it will then prime through the main spout in the middle. I move my container accordingly. Lily in the background is enjoying all of these new noises. And while priming is completed, I still want to clean out the internals, starting with the hot water spout, so I'll press hot water with the spout in. And this will run until I hit hot water again. It also shuts off at a predetermined time, but this is a very easy way to clean out that part of the circuit. I might elect to do this again, just for good measure. But I do want to take a moment to quickly demonstrate something going out of order a bit. I'm going to hit espresso. Watch what happens. It's starting to make an espresso. There are no beans in the machine. There is no sensor. Higher end machines have a sensor that has a laser just above the grinder, and if it could read the sensor, it knows that there are no beans in the machine. This one sort of fails, as we can see here, through an alarm during the compression of the grinds, because there's obviously no coffee grounds in there. This is just an obvious feature I look for in these machines. So with that said, we're going to add beans, going with our trusty standard, Lavazza Espresso, or we sometimes use Cafe Crema. Lifting the top cover, we'll fill the hopper, not overflowing, but just enough. We're using 2 of our standard household scoops. I'll admit I'm a little disappointed that a coffee machine company like DeLonghi would not have put a seal on the coffee bean hopper to keep the coffee beans fresh. Be that as it may, we'll place the cover back on. Just a little disappointed. Of course, I want to flush out the circuit for the main spout, just as I did the hot water spout. Very easy. I'm going to grab a container first and put it under that spout and hold the clean button for 5 seconds. And while we're waiting, hit that like button down below. Helps me out a lot when you do. And now the cleaning has started. We'll take a look at the bottom, and I'm going to speed all this up. But we could see that a cleaning event occurs and flushes out the machine. Again, in this situation, with a new machine, I may elect to do this several times. But for this video, we'll call priming, flushing, and cleaning complete. We're going to set up for the first couple espressos, which are throwaways. I have a glass here, and we're going to push a spout down. And right off the bat, this handle is so flimsy and poorly designed. It angles downwards, so you can't lift it up or down. Look at this. This is terrible. I don't like this at all. Pointing that out right now. So the bean intensity is set for medium, signifies grinding time and ultimately the amount of coffee beans that are going into this espresso. I press espresso, we can hear the beans immediately start grinding. We'll wait down below and see what happens. Always something to look for in these machines, given the distance of the spouts and the diameter of the cup. You want to make sure that's centered. You're going to pour half the coffee right into the drain. So we hear a pause after the compression. We would expect a pre-infusion. And there it is right now. All the machines do that today. Now we get to the actual brewing. We're not going to be drinking these first several, but we're not going to waste them either. We're going to use them to decide within a ballpark range where this machine is at. Notice how that vibration shifted the cup to the left. I'm telling you now, you got to watch out for that with small cups. You're going to put it right down the drain. So we'll have a look at that. It's going to be a visual inspection, see how it flows, take a look at the crema up top and give us an idea. And I'm comparing them to the chart in the book, rerunning the next one, adjusting it for the middle and the two outliers on the adjustment. I'm just having fun here. There's that moving cup again. I'm going to get to dialing it in later. I was just taking advantage of these 3 cups to see how it looks when I adjust the grinder settings on the extremes. And we can see all 3. The middle and 7 are closest to the book, so we're probably going to stay around the middle for now. I'm going to demonstrate the water hardness now, even though it doesn't apply to me. It's important. This is my 0 water. Opening up the tester, I'm going to dip it in for a second, give it 1 shake, and stand here for a whole minute, which I've sped up 16 times the speed, so you don't have to wait. But we'll see that there is no effect on this because there's 0 hardness in this water. But I will take my tap water and dip the tester back in and wait another minute so we can see the difference. And we see that almost 2 of the first squares turned red. So we'll configure the machine accordingly, first holding down the configuration button until we're in configuration mode. The water hardness menu will be cappuccino. I press that, and we see it's currently set to 4. As if all 4 squares were red, this would be 3 squares, 2 squares, 1 square red, and that's 4 squares red on the test strip. In actuality, in my case, I would put 2 if it was the tap water, but I'm really going to put 1 because that's as low as I can go on this machine. Mine should be 0. Then I'm going to hit cappuccino to save the changes, and then I'm going to hit the configuration button to get out of the configuration mode. We installed the filter a few minutes ago, but I need to let the machine know that we've installed the filter. Again, I'll hold down the configuration button till we get into configuration mode. Then I'll press the clean button, followed by the middle bean button. And then the clean button once more. After which we can see a filter alarm appears over here in red, at which point I'll hit the clean button again. And of course, move my container under the hot water spout. This is generally done directly after the filter swap, and what it does is it just primes the filter. For a long time, because this is 20 times the speed, but when it finishes, that alarm lamp goes out, and the machine comes out of config, and back to regular service. Going back into config while we're on topic to go over setting the coffee temperature. In config, pressing the My Latte button takes us to the temperature menu. This one is set for medium, and the book values are abstract. It's like low, medium, or high. But I'll set this one back to medium, press My Latte again to save changes, and config to come out of config mode. Nothing in the book about values in Fahrenheit or centigrade. Very weird. Again, back to config so I can set up auto off. I hold this button down, and once it config, we're going to hit the espresso button. That middle bean is 30 minutes. I want to set mine to 15, so what I'm going to do is hit that bean on the left. Now I'm going to hit the espresso to save it, followed by config to back out of config mode. For completeness, we're going to go over how to shut off the beep. I don't know why you'd want to shut it off, but back into config mode. Press this button here, the settings menu button. And now we have a choice between beans or ground. Beans or ground. Ground is off, so we'll save by hitting the button again and out of config, and there's no more beeps. See that it's silent now. But I'm going to turn mine back on, back into config mode. Press that button again, and switch mine back to beans. Hit that button, save it, and out of config, and everything should beep again. Very good. Back to config for energy savings. It doesn't say what energy savings does in the book, but we'll turn it on anyway. Hitting latte macchiato. Again, it's beans or ground for on and off. I'll hit latte macchiato again as there's no changes to make. We want ours on, and I exit out of config. We're ready now to go through the milk container, and it comes pre-assembled. It does, however, have this label on it that shows disassembly, which means there's probably been some issues with people trying to disassemble this in the past. It also shows that it's dishwasher safe and sink washable. A twist lock indication shows how to remove the bottle by unlocking it and then taking it right off. I'll then remove the spout, followed by the intake tube, and then while depressing this button, pulling out the connector. Everything's now disassembled. I'm going to wash everything in the sink. And with that, I'll begin reassembly. starting with our condenser lid. Pressing the button, I reinserted the connector back in. I don't think you have to press the button though. After this, the intake tube is pushed fully into position, followed by the spout, which locks in. At this point, I'll add milk all the way to the top mark. The markings signify 2 latte macchiatos, or 2 cappuccinos, 1 latte macchiato, or 1 cappuccino. I'll place the lid back onto the container. It only goes on in one direction and then locks into place. We'll remove the hot water nozzle from the coffee machine and replace it with this container, locking it into place. So we'll try out mixed drinks starting with a cappuccino, and we're going to use a small glass so we can see what's going on. We don't want to miss anything. The frother placed in position, I hit the cappuccino button, and things kick off. I'm speeding things up. What is that? We're going to do things in slow motion. That is water, and watered down milk coming out as everything starts. That's terrible. And it does even out, but the first 2 seconds were essentially water spraying into the cup. What kind of nonsense is that? We'll see how it ends, and I'm going to speed ahead on the coffee brewing process. We've all seen this several times already. And that's it right there, finishing up. And we're not about dialing in the coffee just yet. What we're really looking at right now is the consistency of the milk froth, right? We've just added that attachment. Definitely not micro bubbles. It's frothy, but not micro bubbles. The wife insisted we make a second cup because we haven't had coffee yet this morning, really. Just playing with the machine. So we'll set up the cups and some oatmeal cookies. Try and take one. Nope. I'll point out here that after you run a milk product, you get a blue flashing light on clean. I'll put a container under and hit clean, and it's just going to purge that milk container. Unfortunately, again, the next time you use it, it's going to blow out water as it starts to fill your coffee cup, as we'll come to find out, which we're going to do now. As we run a latte macchiato as our next test, using a full-size macchiato glass, it does fit under. Refilling the milk container for this event, because it does take a lot of milk, I'll hit the latte macchiato button, and we'll see what happens. Again, dumping water out initially. I'll speed things up. Also speeding up the coffee brewing process, which we've seen now several times. We'll take it off, bring it to the counter, and have a look at it. It's a latte macchiato. I feel, though, on my other machines, the division between the coffee and the milk is more defined. Maybe that's just me. They added a feature here called My Latte. I'm going to go over it right quick. Basically, it'll make a latte based on how much milk is in this container, owing to the sensor behind the milk container. So when it runs out, it stops. So I'm just going to demonstrate that right quick with the little amount of milk that I have. Funny thing, as I run this, you see all that water pouring out, and then it's going to run that milk all the way to the bottom and then move on to the brewing process. Now, one would think with the sensor that it would stop before it picked up air, but we see it just starts sputtering and throwing milk onto the side of the machine. There we go again. Yeah, outstanding engineering right there. But it gets better, because once it finishes and tries to brew the coffee portion of it, as I had mentioned earlier, we run into another problem. Owing to the lack of a sensor that tells it when there's no beans, it already poured the milk, but then failed. Which means I now have to fill this machine with beans and start all over. This glass of milk is now wasted. A quick note, when I pull out the milk container, we see that the lights go out for all of the available milk products. We can see the water lights out too, but when I put the water spout in, the hot water light turns on and then off, but we still have the ones out for the milk, and when I put the milk container in, the milk container lights turn back on. This stops you from running unavailable selections. Given the luxury of having the same beans, I'm going to be dialing in this machine against my Jura S8, so there'll be some comparison here as I set up cappuccinos. First thing that we notice is how much quicker the Jura is. And again, this isn't a Jura versus DeLonghi video. I just wanted to point this out because it's evident. We can see as I skip ahead, it's almost done with the milk on the Jura when the milk starts on the DeLonghi. And the Jura is already done brewing the coffee, and we're still waiting a good 10 or 12 seconds before we even see coffee start to come out of the spout of the DeLonghi. We're looking at about 35 seconds quicker for the whole operation. Does it matter? Probably not. Just pointing it out. Let's have a look. And mind you, this is dial in, redo, dial in before I arrived here. So obviously a lot of this is going to be conducted off camera. I'm not going to do this in the video and take up a whole lot of time. But we just tried it, exchanged glasses, retried it, adjusted, reran it, and kept doing this over and over again.
Yeah, definitely.
This was done by setting the beans at 6 and 2 and working our way in. The tray was also removed, so we could remove the puck from the tray. Observing the granularity between the one on the Jura also made it easy for us to dial it in. Again, it comes down to personal preference, but we already had this available, so that's what we did. This machine ultimately ended up on 5 for these beans. Funny thing is, we get down to the espresso test and we get it pretty much as close as possible between both machines. We're talking about appearance, taste, texture. We reviewed it over and over. We could see from the side shot, from the top, the color is exactly where we wanted it. That's it. That's the number right there.
They're close. They are close.
However, the milk drinks were really far off, so we decided to conduct one more test where we're going to make a coffee in each machine, just a regular coffee button. Only this time with the coffee, we're going to add a metered amount of milk into each drink instead of letting the machine do it for us. So we've pre-measured these values. Then we're going to stir it up and try it out. Have a debate. Yep, we nailed it. Got it. Okay. The culprit is the milk frother as compared between these two machines, and that's why it was difficult to dial anything in if it was a milk style coffee. Now, I'm not being a coffee machine snob here, because in actuality, this $150 machine that I reviewed with a steam wand runs circles around the Jura's milk frother, but we're comparing manual to automatic, and that's the difference. So in my opinion, this milk frothing system on the DeLonghi is not awesome. It's just okay, and that's pretty much it. When it comes time to service this machine, I'll make another video using the products that are provided. Link will be posted on the top right corner. And that brings us to the end of this unboxing, configuration, and review of this DeLonghi Magnifica Evo coffee machine. I love how the brew group is removable and user serviceable, a major plus. I find the menu for configuration to be very intuitive considering it has no display. Once dialed in, it makes a decent espresso or coffee for a machine of its class. However, I was disappointed that a coffee company would not put a seal on the hopper of the bean cover. Nor would they put a low-level sensor in for beans, the most important ingredient in coffee next to water. The handle for the spout is absolutely atrocious and mars the first impression that people will get from this machine. The milk frother was supposed to be the centerpiece of the features of this machine, but it was mediocre at best. Not only spewing water into the cup as part of its normal operation, but the resulting output may be good enough for cookies at grandma's, but definitely not for somebody with discerning taste. When measured against the Jura S8, it got the floor mopped with its milk frother. And heaven help us, rumor is it ran circles around its main competitor, the Philips 3200. I'm filled with a morbid curiosity, wondering how bad the milk frother in that machine is. The most sensors and technology they put into this machine was for the My Latte function, and this function proved to be an absolute... yeah, forget it, I'm moving on. Snobby as this sounds, it's a coffee machine review, and it's an okay $500 coffee machine. Would I pay full price for this? Absolutely not. Would I be happy at $500? Yeah, I probably would be as a casual drinker. That's who this machine is for. I hope you found this video enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, helps me out a lot when you do, and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this when they come out. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.